think that a lot of the time we are told to just trust and surrender. But the question is, how do we actually do that? What are the tools? What are the concepts, ideas, practices that are actually helpful for someone who is on the spiritual path and really embodying their ability to trust in themselves, in the divine, and be guided to align with the path, the life, the purpose that is meant for them. And so in this message today, I'm going to be sharing some tools that have been really helpful for me. Also, I'm walking through a monarch butterfly kind of sanctuary right now, and so if you see some in the background, that's what that is. So beautiful. Okay, so I think first things first, when we talk about trust, I'm just going to give you my definition, my embodied experience of what that's been like for me, and then I'll share some divinely inspired examples or tools that can be helpful for you as well. So with trusting, what's recently been reflected to me through my experiences, and a lot of my messages and insights do come from my immediate life, because that is how information and spiritual insight is reflected back to me, and then I process it, integrate it, and share it with others. So lately with trust, what I've been experiencing is that it's actually not this state where you have zero doubt, zero questions in your mind, no sort of worry or fear. It's actually a state where I've been experiencing all of those emotions, but actually letting them flow through completion, like pass through me essentially, and leave behind the nuggets of wisdom, insight, or guidance if there are any. And I say if there are any because sometimes emotion just wants to be moved, and it doesn't need to be acted on necessarily in that moment. Maybe it will provide you some reflective insight about something you are moving towards, a decision that you're needing to make, something that just happened recently in the past or even years ago. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we need to do anything about it in the moment. And so what I mean by like letting the emotions just simply move through is that I genuinely just, it's sort of like in meditation. So I've practiced this a lot. If you followed my work for a while, I began with connecting to the body, listening to the body, all the sensations that are present in the body, painful or non-painful, and just really refining my ability to tune into the deeper messages that are encoded within these sensations. Sometimes not every sensation is going to have a deeper meaning, and sometimes it just wants to be felt, it wants to be given a place to exist, and then it just passes on through. And other times, like especially with pain and discomfort, there are real nuggets of wisdom and guidance that are actually encoded within those sensations. And so the more that we learn to listen and the more that we learn to trust that what we're feeling is not necessarily just random, the more that we can actually tune into what those insights, intuitions, and messages are. And I do have a lot of resources and courses on this particular topic if that is calling to you, of how you would like to embody a deeper ability to trust what you are currently feeling in the present moment and to be able to hold more of that. Because I will say that when I look at my journey of being able to trust what I feel and what I know to be my truth or a higher truth, it was steadily developed over time as a skill that I had to practice and really hone through many years of deep listening. So it didn't just start out being like, oh, this pain is connected to this emotion of sadness or grief, and that it's connected to this childhood experience of when I wasn't paid attention to, and this is what the exact thing that this part of me needs now to heal this and transform it and literally live from a different and healed perspective, which is how the process has unfolded for me and the protocol that I teach and guide others through now. But it didn't start that way. I had to figure all of this out on my own. And that's why I feel like when you have a more structured step-by-step process, it can be a lot easier, but of course not necessary for you to build that trust muscle. And so when we are learning to tune into what we are feeling, what I'm trying to say is that your capacity grows over time to actually be with the hard sensations or the hard emotions, like with full respect for your nervous system's capacity right now and tolerance. And sometimes that fluctuates, even if you're a very, advanced soul who has a lot of tools. Sometimes circumstances in your life are going to take away capacity and resources from you, and so that even those tools might not be as useful or as powerful as they once were. And so just having compassion for ourselves at every step of the process, that even when things come back around that we feel like we've already dealt with, or that we don't want to still be dealing with, and we feel like we should have moved on by now, it usually means that there's still something there, a lesson for you to receive from it. And so there's this real piece around when trust, learning to trust yourself. It can be really connected to learning to trust your experiences and give them the space, the compassion, the validation, and whatever else is needed in the beginning to really feel comfortable, confident, and start to develop that I almost want to say the urge to take the risk of trusting yourself over, and that outgrows the fear of being wrong or the fear of making a mistake, because that holds us back in the beginning when we're first learning to trust ourselves of what if I don't get this right? What if I'm wrong? What if this leads to, XYZ consequence? But honestly, in those beginning stages, what's been helpful for me has just been to constantly be vigilant about reminding myself there's no punishment or consequence hiding on the other side of this decision. And if you feel like there is, then I would really recommend practicing your trust with smaller, low risk situations first. When I first started, I would do it at the grocery store. Or I remember there was one time I walked into a thrift store and I just asked myself and connected to my intuition and said, show me what is meant for me here. And I just kind of let go and found myself walking through the aisles, not really looking at anything, but it led me straight to this pair of black high-heeled boots. I still have them. This was years ago, but I remember they were exactly my size. They fit like I had already been wearing them, and they were perfect. And so things like this, where it's you don't have to worry about what could go wrong if you aren't able to hear what you feel like you need to hear, and just really giving yourself the opportunity to be pleasantly surprised. And if nothing happens, then that's okay too. You can try again another time. So that's the first piece that I wanted to address about just how you can start tuning into your trust muscle and building that through your body and getting in tune with what you are currently actively feeling now and what's emerging out of your I guess, oh, there's a deer, a lived experience. So then what I also wanted to touch on is what was coming through too is this, I think for those of us who have been used to putting our power outside of ourselves and just wanting to be told what to do and having that structure and guidance available, we're more prone to seeking external validation and kind of looking for answers outside of ourselves. And honestly, this might sound a little bit backwards at first, but just hear me out. So if you're in this camp and you have that tendency to go outside of yourself, I encourage you to develop a really strong relationship, or at least explore your relationship with the divine. And that can be anything, that's for me, it's God. But you could also call it spirit, universe, higher self, whatever term, honestly, it doesn't matter. But it kind of gives you in the beginning that sense of it being something bigger than you that you can turn to for advice, for wisdom and guidance, but that it's not actually outside of you. My belief system is that God is not outside of me, it's actually reflected within me. And so even though it's in the beginning stages of developing that relationship with God, for me, it was I needed to, what felt safe for me, I should say, is putting my power in the ultimate supreme power, that even though in the beginning it might be oh yeah, something subconscious is telling me that this is outside of me or something out there that's not me. Over time, the container of spirit is airtight, watertight, meaning it's a solid container, not literal air and water, but you know what I mean? It holds you completely. And I think this is what it's been reflected to me a lot lately as well, with that, if you've ever had experiences of pouring into something, over giving and under receiving, if you give 100% of yourself into something and only get partial return, whether it's money, love, anything else, this is a really good way to flip that as well, where you can choose the container that you pour your energy into, right? So like I said, spirit, God, universe is the ultimate container where nothing exists outside of that. So therefore it has to be a complete container. And that is what, when people say, for me, spirit is the source, the creator, and there is nothing else, meaning that everything that there is contained within spirit. And so everything that is given will be returned to you. And it might not show up right away, and in fact, many times it doesn't. But this is the process of learning to trust. It's so relevant to that, because when you pour your energy, your investment, your resources into spirit, God, it comes back to you, and it often multiplies, as we know in spiritual law. So if you feel like you need to trust in something that is bigger than you, remember that it's not outside of you just because it's bigger than you, and that can still be a reflection. It can still be, the way that you tap into it can still come from within. So you're not only meeting that need for a bigger presence and a bigger power, in this case, the ultimate all-powerful being and presence. so that what you give, you are guaranteed to get back. And it starts to break over time. The more you remind yourself of this truth, the more it breaks this pattern and this old belief system of, oh, I get left behind, I get abandoned, I don't get what I want, or I'm not unlovable, I'm not enough. All these things, they start to fall away naturally, because that is not the way that the universe was designed to work. And I really encourage, if you're in this boat as well, where you are really leaning into your divine understanding. What was helpful for me in the beginning, so several years ago, I encountered the metaphysical spiritual laws. And that is when I first felt this this breakthrough in thought of there are these infallible laws that govern the universe beyond what the eye can see, beyond what our human society and culture says is right or should happen or would happen, but that there is a just, a fair, a loving, unconditionally loving, and a truthful power, presence, and truth that is guiding everything, all life. And you are no exception in this picture. When we say that you are already whole, this is what it's referring to, that you are already part of this. I don't even want to say part of this system, because I don't think that's even accurate, but you are the whole within the whole, the drop of water within the ocean that reflects all of it. There is nothing that is missing to you. There's nothing that is lost to you that you cannot tap into in some way or access, because you are of that divine nature yourself. So trusting. I'm feeling called to come back to that first point about when you feel the presence of those emotions, the fear, the doubt, the worry, the concern, or just the being weighed down by anything that doesn't serve you. In those moments, what I've been doing lately and has been super helpful for me is connecting that with my divine source and remembering and almost catching myself in the moment, holding space for it, letting it neutralize, and then at that point I will go and bring in a corrective experience or thought. And these days it's been just connecting to the divine truth that you are already perfect, and that you are safe, you are secure, you are with God, with spirit, and that nothing earthly has ever actually touched you in the spiritual realm and damaged you or caused you to feel any lack or separation, because you're actually not separate from God, from source, from creator. So for me, it's been about not how many tools that I have to deal with all of these emerging opportunities for growth, whether they're pain and discomforts physically or emotional upsets or just old patterns that I'm seeing reflected in all these different areas of life. Having all the tools is one thing, but knowing when and how to use them masterfully is what makes all the difference. You can go through, for me, I'll just speak for myself. I've been through a lot of very difficult, painful experiences, a lot of which I haven't even shared on any of my socials, but physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And I think what helps me to always get back up on my feet and return to a place of trust and surrender, no matter how hard things may seem, no matter how difficult, how frustrating, annoying, whatever words you want to describe your experience as. Like, I think no matter how far away I may feel sometimes from my source, like coming back and circling back around to the truth that I never was separate. I am connected to my infinite source of life, love, and truth, and that everything else is untrue. And when we take that moment to moment, it's in these moments of difficulty, of like challenge, of really getting sucked into that like disconnected and separate way of thinking. It's in those moments where our spiritual gold lies, where we can transmute the pain, the difficulty, the darkness into its highest opposite, which is light and connectedness and trust in ourselves, in the divine, and in all that is being orchestrated for us and for the greater harmony of the good. So I just wanted to share too that this process, I know, is not it's not easy walking the spiritual path. I totally am, also just like learning as I go. And if you feel like these tools that I've shared in this video could be really helpful for you and you want to work together on these things or whatever's in your life right now that needs support, if you feel like that's something that is calling to you right now, I do have one-on-one sessions available. I'm going to leave the details for that in the description box below. They're called illumination sessions, where we really just get to be together and you can bring whatever it is that you're working on, and we're gonna help you to clarify, to distill, to refine, to move through, smooth over, just settle into any areas where greater truth and light, clarity, understanding, healing, transformation is needed. So I'm so honored to be sharing this with you today. I'm so honored that God has given me these opportunities to learn all that I know now so that I can be of service to the collective in this way, whether just through sharing through a video online or working with you guys in person or not in person, but I mean over Zoom, one-on-one, or through my courses. I am sending you so much love and thank you for being here.